Yes, brothers and sisters, lovers, haters, boys, girls, and vibrations. I hope everybody's well, as usual. Now, I thought I'd tell the story about my only loss in the unlicensed boxing. I had 11 fights in total, and I won my first 9 on the spin, and then I got beat, and then I had one more at Carlisle and I won, and I stopped the unlicensed boxing. However, after about 5 or 6 wins, I stopped training, and I was only taking it semi-seriously. I was only doing little bits of half an hour here and half an hour there in the gym, but the competition wasn't exactly fierce. There was a lot of pub fighters, there was a lot of rough lads off the street, but not many of them could box. And I just used to box them, jab them, good straight punches, and step on them when I hurt them. And out of them 10 wins, I got 5 stoppages. Excuse me. But I'd had 9 wins on the bounce. I'd stopped training for like the last 4 wins, and I started just taking it for granted. The opponents weren't really getting any better. And I wasn't training, I wasn't in shape, I was in active addiction, and I was doing it purely for the money. I needed money to feed me addiction. We were getting 500 quid a fight by that time. So anyways, the phone rang, it was Spencer Brown, Tyson Fury's manager now. He was doing the EBF boxing at the time, the unlicensed, and it was a popular platform. There was a lot of lads on the circuit. Now, I'd boxed this lad at Carlisle a couple of fights before called Rocky Harwood. He was a lad out of Manchester, and there was like a group of brothers, and he was one of them. And I beat him convincingly at Carlisle. And they were all sort of a similar sort of standard, all the brothers. And I was supposed to be boxing his brother on this show. Spencer said, it's Rocky Harwood's brother. I can't remember his first name, actually. So, I made my way down. I'd been on a bit of a bender 2 days before, and I just slowed down a little bit with my drug intake, but it never stopped completely at that point. Slowed down a little bit and tried to get myself half mentally ready for this fight. Got down to the show. It was down at Chorley, at Park Hall, Chorley, the Park Hall nightclub. Brilliant venue. There's like tiers, and the ring was right in the middle of the dance floor. So I've turned up. Spencer was on the door. Oh, Danny, he said, this Harwood, I forget his first name. This Harwood, he's come over all poorly. He's not well. But we've got this other lad for you, he said. You'll be all right with him and that. Some ex-pro out of Wales, he said. Ooh, so I started humming and hawing a bit, knowing that I'm not in the best of shape. And I was humming and hawing a little bit, like, I don't know about this, like Spence. I was kind of expecting to face this Harwood lad. I said, I've been training for him. I've just blagged it. I hadn't done any training. You'll be all right with this lad and that. And I hummed and hawed a little bit more and that. And he pulled an envelope out of his pocket with my name on it. I had 500 quid in it. And he was like, it's a long way to come and not get a wage, Danny, innit? And I was like, well, I suppose it is. I was going meeting pals in Manchester after that. And I needed the money. I had about 80 quid in my pocket, I think. I needed the money. So I says, I need bother, go on then, I'll take it. I'll face him. And his part of the changing rooms is over there. So I'm walking through the nightclub, what it was, the venue. I met Mickey Jennings there, the ex-pro. He was a good pro out of Chorley. Met him there, lovely man. He was like the guest of honour. Anyways, walking through, the changing rooms are over there. The changing rooms ended up being a nightclub toilet. There was, and the whole blue corner was in there. But as I'm walking towards the changing room, I picked a programme up which was on a table beside a pint of beer. I picked it up and I had a look at it. Hey presto, there it was. The undefeated Danny Christie versus Tommy Lee. Already printed in the programme. I thought, this is bonny, innit? And it was... I could smell a bit of a stitch up, you know what I mean? But... listen, no hard feelings towards Spencer and that organisation, because it was a popular platform, they paid decent money, and and this is the industry, this is what happens in that game. Excuse me. So, got myself a bit warmed up and that, and a bit of a loose off, a bit of a bounce on the spot and a bit of a stretch, and I just heard this boom, 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 someone on the pads. And I was like, that sounds deadly, that. And I opened the door and I just seen this lad, had Lee on his shorts. I was like, aye, Bonnie. This lad was super tasty. If looking at him, you know, and how he was on the pads was anything to go by, I was in for a tough night. And a tough night it was. Anyways, we've got in there. As I'm making my way to the ring, it's all Tommy, Tommy, Tommy. It's like it sold the full place out. And that was intimidating in itself. You know, and the more and more, the closer I got to the ring, the more I felt this sense of impending doom. You know, I was like a lamb to the slaughter, to put it bluntly. You know, my arse was probably gone a little bit, but you know, you've committed by this point, you know, and you've got your wages. I was just thinking about the money. Anyways, ding ding, round one. In the first 10, maybe 12 seconds, I was on the deck, floored us with a beautiful punch. It was a combination, really, and the last punch just sort of hit us just as I was going down, and it popped my eardrum. And my eardrum had this really high-pitched screech, which never went away for about 2 weeks, you know, but that was the start of it. I got up at about 8 or 9, and my legs weren't there, you know, and in fairness, the referee could have probably stopped it if he wanted to. You see, but you get a lot more leeway in the unlicensed, and with him selling the place out, you know, the crowd wants some blood. You know, the crowd, you know, and the truth is, they want to see somebody get hurt. Anyways, I employed every bit of know-how and every tactic that I knew to survive that first round. I was tying him up, I was standing on his toes in the clinch, I was on my bike, you know, I had a high guard. Anytime he come anywhere near us, I just tied him up and survived that first round. And I kind of got my bearings back a little bit, you know, on the stool in between the first and second. And I went back out in the second round. I was just on my toes. I was using my footwork to the best of my ability. He only landed a couple of clean punches. I mean, they definitely registered because he punched very, very hard. Probably the biggest puncher I've been in with, you know, with gloves on. A very big puncher. Third round went the same. I was on my bike, not letting him really catch us, although he did pressure us and catch us in the corner a couple of times, and I tied him up, and you know, the action got broke up, and I went on about being on my bike. You know, it wasn't exactly entertaining for the fans. You know, there was a bit of booing going on, but I refused to engage with him because he was bigger than me. You know, I never, out of all them 11 unlicensed fights I had, I never once jumped on the scales. You know, he was bigger than me, he hit harder than me, and he was an ex-pro. It was a 5-rounder, and I got put down again in the end of the 4th round. I can't even remember what punch it was. It was a clean shot, got the flash, just looked, and there was canvas beside my head. I was obviously on the deck, and I got my way to one knee, and I remember sort of thinking for a second that maybe I should just stay down here, you know, because I just can't beat this lad. I'm not saying I could have beat him if I'd had a camp and I was in better shape, but I could have certainly done a lot better, you know. Anyways, I got up, you know, to my own demise. I got up on about 9, and shortly after the bell went. The 5th round, I didn't let him hit us. I was on my bike, you know, I was just in purely survival mode, and he couldn't catch us in that 5th round. You know, thank God he couldn't catch us, because he just hit that hard. You know, and that was that. That was the story. That was the biggest battering I've ever took in the ring. My eardrum was perforated. I had this high screeching ears. I had 2 broken ribs. I had a broken wrist. My nose was bent. It must have been broke, but it wasn't clicking and that. But it sort of faced over this way for the next couple of years until I got it straightened on the street. But my head was like a box of oranges. You know, I took all kind of punches behind the ears and behind the back of the head, and that. It was a rough man. You know, so if anybody knows an ex-pro from Wales called Tommy Lee, I'm sure he was from Rill, you give him my best. But I am still suffering from injuries, you know, that he gave us that day. If I sort of tilt my head underwater and get water behind this ear, the water stays behind there for weeks. You know, what a hiding I got. Got lit up like a Christmas tree. And I was in pain for about a month with them broken ribs. If anyone's ever suffered broken ribs, you know, trying to get to a position where you're laying down and then trying to get from a laying down position to your feet, it's excruciatingly painful. You know, and that was that. You know, I had one more fight in Carlisle, which I won. And, you know, I decided, you know, to continue in my active addiction, you know, because getting off my weed seemed like the most important thing at that time. But, you know, we're here, we're cool, you know, and it's a good story, I thought. Anyways, brothers and sisters, I'm going out and taking my little one out for some food. Bye-bye for now.